She collapsed in her chair. Not dramatically. Not the way people do in movies. She just sat down, very slowly, like her legs had forgotten how to hold her. My grandmother, the woman who had raised 3 children through a recession, buried 2 husbands, and once told a door-to-door salesman that if he did not leave her porch, she would call both the police and his mother. That woman just sat down and stared at the letter in my hands like it was written in a language she had forgotten she knew. My daughter was still smiling, 6 years old, birthday crown slightly crooked, chocolate frosting on her thumb. Some people in my family still think I went too far. After everything you are about to hear, I want to know what you think. The party was still happening around us. My sister was cutting cake in the kitchen. My mother was rearranging the gift table for the 3rd time because the presents were not stacked symmetrically. My uncle was showing my father something on his phone. Normal family noise. The kind that fills a house and makes you forget that anything outside that moment exists. But in the corner of the living room, under the window where the light came in gold and made the dust visible, my grandmother was sitting in my father's chair. The leather one he did not let anyone else use. She was sitting there with her hands folded in her lap, and she was looking at me the way you look at someone when you have just realized you never knew them at all. The letter was 14 years old. The envelope had yellowed at the edges, my grandfather's handwriting. He had been dead for 12 years. My daughter was still holding the envelope. She turned it over in her hands like it was a puzzle she was trying to solve. Then she looked at my grandmother and said, very clearly, "Grandma, why did you tell me Mom lied? Let me tell you how we got here. I need to start from the beginning, the real beginning, not the birthday party, not the letter. The day I learned that my family had a favorite child, and it was not me. I was 11. My sister Melissa was 14. We were in the car on the way home from some school event. I do not remember what event. I remember my mother was driving. My father was in the passenger seat. Melissa had just won something, a ribbon maybe, or a certificate. She was holding it in her lap and my mother kept reaching back to touch her shoulder. My father said, "We always knew Melissa was going to be something special. Not you are both special. Not we are proud of both of you. Just that, I was in the back seat. I remember the vinyl was hot against my legs. I remember thinking that maybe I had misheard. But then my mother said, "She gets it from your side of the family," and they both laughed. I was 11 years old and I understood that there were 2 categories in my family. There was Melissa, and then there was me. It was not always cruel. That is the thing people do not understand. If it had been cruel all the time, I would have left. I would have known what it was. But most of the time it was just small, little moments. Comments that could have been jokes, comparisons that could have been innocent. When I was 16, I told my parents I wanted to study business. My father looked at me over his newspaper and said, "That is ambitious." The way you say ambitious when you mean unrealistic. Then he looked at my mother and said, "Well, someone has to keep her expectations managed." Melissa was studying pre-law. Everyone agreed she was brilliant. I went to state school. Melissa went to her first choice private university. My parents paid her tuition in full. They told me I could take out loans because it would teach me the value of money. I worked 3 jobs. I graduated with $41,000 in debt. Melissa graduated debt-free with a car they bought her as a graduation present. At Melissa's graduation party, my Aunt Patricia pulled me aside. She had had 3 glasses of wine. She put her hand on my arm and said, "You know, not everyone is cut out for big things. There is nothing wrong with a simple life." I was 22 years old. I had just accepted a job at a financial consulting firm. Entry level. $38,000 a year. I had not told anyone yet. I smiled at Aunt Patricia and said, "You are probably right." That was the moment I decided something. I did not know what yet. But I decided that I was done explaining myself to people who had already decided who I was. The job was in the same city where my parents lived. I got a studio apartment in a building that used to be a warehouse. The heat did not work right. The elevator broke twice a month, but it was mine. I paid for it. No one could take it away. My first year at the firm, I made $42,000. They promoted me after 8 months. My second year, I made $63,000. I did not tell my family about the promotion. I would go to family dinners every other Sunday. My mother would ask how work was going. I would say, "Fine." She would say, "Well, as long as you are happy," in a tone that suggested happiness was a low bar. Melissa was clerking for a judge. Everyone was very impressed. When I was 25, I left the firm and started my own consulting business. I had saved $31,000. I had 3 clients already lined up. People I had worked with who trusted me. I rented an office, 1 room, a desk, a chair, a plant I kept forgetting to water. I did not tell my family for 6 months. When I finally mentioned it at Sunday dinner, my father put his fork down. He looked at my mother. He looked at Melissa. Then he looked at me and said, "Do you have any idea how many small businesses fail in the first year?" I said, "I have read the statistics." He said, "And you still think this is a good idea?" I said, "I do." My mother touched my hand. She said, "Sweetheart, we just do not want to see you struggle." Melissa said, "Maybe you should have stayed at the firm, you had stability there." I went home that night and signed my 4th client, a mid-sized manufacturing company that needed someone to restructure their accounting systems. The contract was worth $78,000. I did not mention it the next Sunday. That became the pattern. They would give advice. I would smile. I would go home and do exactly what I had already planned to do. By the time I was 27, I had 11 employees. We had moved to a bigger office. I was pulling in consistent 6-figure contracts. I bought a car, nothing flashy, just reliable. I drove it to Sunday dinner. My father saw it in the driveway and said, "New car?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Must be nice." I did not tell him I had paid cash. When I was 28, I met Daniel. He worked in supply chain logistics. We met at a conference. He made me laugh. He listened when I talked about work and did not try to fix things I was not asking him to fix. We dated for a year before I brought him to family dinner. My mother liked him immediately. She pulled me into the kitchen while he was talking to my father and said, "He seems stable. That is good for you." I said, "What does that mean?" She said, "You know what I mean. You have always been a little all over the place. It is good you found someone grounded." I had $3 million in business assets at that point. Daniel and I got married in a small ceremony, immediate family only. My parents paid for Melissa's wedding 2 years earlier. It had been at a country club, 140 guests, a 7-piece band. My mother had talked about it for months. For my wedding, my mother asked if we were sure we did not want to wait and save up for something nicer. I said, "This is what we want." She said, "Well, it is your day." We honeymooned in Portugal. I did not post photos. I did not talk about it at Sunday dinners. I let them think we had gone somewhere simple. When I was 30, I got pregnant, my daughter. The first person in my life who looked at me like I was exactly enough. My mother threw me a baby shower. She invited her friends. She bought decorations. It was generous, I know it was generous. But during the shower, she kept saying things like, "Well, at least now she will have something to focus on, and motherhood will be good for her. Give her some purpose." I was running a firm with 18 employees and pulling in 7 figures annually. I smiled, I opened presents, I thanked everyone. My daughter was born on a Tuesday in March. We named her Claire. She had Daniel's eyes and my grandmother's chin and the angriest cry I had ever heard. 3 weeks after she was born, my sister called. She had just made partner at her law firm. She was 33. It was a huge accomplishment. She said, "I know you are busy with the baby, but I am having a little celebration dinner. I would love for you to come." I went. I brought Claire. She was 3 weeks old. At dinner, my father stood up and made a toast. He talked about how proud he was of Melissa, how she had worked so hard, how she had always been destined for great things. Then he turned to me and said, "And we are proud of you too, of course. Being a mother is the hardest job there is." I was sitting there with my 3-week-old daughter asleep against my chest, and I thought, you have no idea what I do. You have never asked. You have never wondered. You decided who I was when I was 11 years old, and you have never looked again. I went home that night and checked my accounts. 4.2 million in liquid assets, another 3.1 in the business. I did not tell them. I kept going to Sunday dinners. I kept smiling. I kept letting them think whatever they thought. When Claire was 2, my grandfather died, my mother's father. He had been sick for a while, lung cancer. He lived 3 states away, but he and my grandmother would visit twice a year. He was the only person in my family who ever asked me about my work. Real questions, not polite conversation. He wanted to know about revenue models and client retention and how I structured contracts. The last time I saw him, he was in hospice. I flew out with Claire. We stayed for 4 days. On the last day, he asked to speak to me alone. My grandmother took Claire to get ice cream. He was in bed. He looked smaller than I remembered. His hands were shaking. He said, "I need to tell you something." I said, "Okay." He said, "Your grandmother and I have been arguing about this for months, but I am telling you anyway." I waited. He said, "When you were born, I set up a trust fund for you, $50,000. It was supposed to go to you when you turned 25. I did not say anything. He said, "Your grandmother took it out when you were 19. She gave it to Melissa for law school." The room was very quiet. Somewhere down the hall, someone was watching television. I said, "Does Melissa know?" he said. I do not think so. Your grandmother told her it was a gift. I said, why are you telling me this now? He said, because I am dying, and because I wrote you a letter 10 years ago and I have been too much of a coward to give it to you. But I am giving it to Claire in a sealed envelope, to be opened when she turns 7. I said, why 7? He said, because that is when you will need it. He died 6 days later. At the funeral, my grandmother held my hand. She cried. She said, he loved you so much. I said, I know. I did not ask about the $50,000. I did not ask about the letter. I went home. I kept building my business. I kept going to Sunday dinners. When Claire was 4, my parents sold their house. They were downsizing, moving to a condo. My mother called me crying because she was overwhelmed with packing. I took a week off work. I went over every day. I packed boxes. I labeled things. I coordinated the movers. On the last day, my father pulled me aside. He said, I know this has not been easy for you, taking all this time off work. I said, it is fine. He said, I just want you to know we appreciate it. I know your little business keeps you busy. My little business had cleared $9.4 million that year. I said, happy to help. That night, Daniel asked me why I did not just tell them. I said, tell them what? He said that you are successful, that you have done well, that you are not who they think you are. I thought about it. I was sitting on the couch. Claire was asleep upstairs. The house was quiet. I said, because the moment I tell them, it becomes about the money, and I do not want it to be about the money. He said, what do you want it to be about? I said, I do not know yet. But that was not true. I knew. I had known for years. I wanted them to see me. Not my bank account, not my business, me. I wanted them to look at me and realize they had been wrong. I wanted them to understand that every piece of advice they had given me, every concern they had voiced, every limitation they had placed on me, had been based on nothing but their own inability to imagine I could be more than they decided I was. I did not know how to make that happen, so I waited. When Claire was 5, my sister got divorced. It was bitter. Her ex-husband was also a lawyer. They fought over everything. The house. The cars. The retirement accounts. My mother called me every other day to talk about it, how worried she was, how hard this was on Melissa. I listened. I said the right things. One night, my mother said, you are so lucky you and Daniel are stable. Melissa always went for the flashy ones. I did not mention that Melissa's ex-husband drove the same make of car as Daniel. I did not mention that their house had been smaller than ours. I just said, I am sorry she is going through this. 3 months into the divorce, Melissa called me. She was crying. She said, I need help. I said, what kind of help? She said, money just to get through this. The lawyer fees are destroying me. I said, how much do you need? She said, 50,000. I know it is a lot, but I will pay you back. I thought about my grandfather. I thought about the trust fund. I thought about the fact that $50,000 was exactly what had been taken from me and given to her. I said, I do not have $50,000. She was quiet for a second. Then she said, right, of course, I am sorry, I should not have asked. I said, I am sorry, I cannot help. She said, it is okay, I will figure it out. We hung up. Daniel looked at me. He said, you are really not going to help her? I said, no. He said, why? I said, because she has never once asked me how I am doing. She has never asked about my business. She has never asked about anything that matters to me. She only calls when she needs something. He said, she is your sister. I said, I know. I did not give her the money. She got a loan. She paid her lawyer. The divorce finalized. She kept the house. At Sunday dinner 2 months later, my mother said, I wish you could have helped your sister. I know you did not have it, but I wish you did. I cut my chicken. I said, me too. That was when I met Evelyn Rodriguez. She owned the building next to my office. 4-story brick structure that used to be a printing factory. She was 71 years old. She wore blazers with jeans and drove a truck that was older than I was. I was walking back from lunch one day and I saw her standing outside the building with a contractor. They were arguing about something. The contractor was shaking his head. When he left, she saw me and said, you look like someone who knows how to read a contract. I said, I do. She handed me a folder. It was a lease agreement. The contractor wanted to rent the ground floor. I read it. I pointed out 3 clauses that were heavily skewed in his favor. She said, I knew it. What do you do? I said, I run a consulting firm. She said, what kind? I said, financial systems, process optimization, strategy. She looked at me for a long second. Then she said, how much do you bill hourly? I told her. She said, I will pay you double that to look at all my contracts. I have 7 buildings. I think half my tenants are screwing me. I said, I can do that. We started meeting once a week. She would bring me leases and vendor agreements and mortgage documents. I would review them. I would explain what was wrong. I would tell her what to renegotiate. After the third meeting, she said, "Why are you not charging me?" I said, "I am." She said, "No, you are not. You have been sending me invoices for 4 hours of work. We have been meeting for 6." I said, "The extra time is just conversation." She said, "Conversation is still time, bill me." I said, "I like talking to you." She smiled. She said, "Bill me anyway." I did. 6 months later, she offered me a partnership. She wanted to expand, buy 2 more buildings. She needed someone who understood finance and contracts and could manage the operations side. I said, "I already have a business." She said, "Keep it, do both. I do not need you full-time, I need you smart." We structured the deal. I put in 800,000, she put in the properties. We split ownership 60-40. Within a year, we had acquired 3 more buildings. Within 2 years, we were pulling in consistent rental income of 400,000 a month. I still did not tell my family. Evelyn asked me once why I did not talk about it. We were sitting in her truck outside one of the properties. She had brought coffee. The good kind, from the place that roasted their own beans. I said, "It is complicated." She said, "Family usually is." I said, "They think I run a small consulting business. They think I am doing fine, not great, just fine." She said, "And you let them think that?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Why?" I did not answer right away. I watched a tenant carry boxes into the building, a young couple. They were laughing about something. I said, "Because if I tell them now, they will say they always knew I could do it. They will rewrite history. They will take credit for encouraging me, for believing in me, for supporting my dreams, and none of that is true." Evelyn drank her coffee. She said, "So what are you waiting for?" I said, "I do not know, the right moment maybe." She said, "There is no right moment. There is just the moment you decide you are done waiting." I thought about that a lot over the next year. Claire turned 6. We planned a birthday party, nothing big, just family. Cake and presents and the kind of chaos that comes with a dozen people in a house that is not quite big enough for a dozen people. My mother insisted on inviting my grandmother. She had been distant since my grandfather died. Quiet. She would come to holidays, but she did not stay long. She did not talk much. But for Claire's birthday, she came early. She brought a present wrapped in silver paper. She sat in the corner and watched Claire open gifts. And then, while everyone else was distracted, while my mother was fussing over the cake and my sister was checking her phone and my father was talking to Daniel about something, my grandmother pulled Claire aside. I was in the kitchen. I saw them through the doorway. My grandmother leaning down, Claire listening. My grandmother's mouth close to Claire's ear. I could not hear what she said, but I saw Claire's face. She did not look upset. She looked confused. Then she looked at me. Then she smiled. She walked over to me. She said, "Mom, Grandma says you lied about my birthday. She says I am actually 7. The kitchen went quiet. I said, "What?" Claire said, "She says I am 7, not 6. She says that means I can read the letter Grandpa left me." My grandmother was still sitting in the corner. She was looking at me. Her face was completely blank. I said, "Claire, where is the letter?" She said, "In my room, in the box with the ballerina on it." I said, "Go get it." She ran upstairs. My mother said, "What is going on?" I did not answer. I was watching my grandmother. She had not moved. She was still looking at me. Claire came back down. She was holding an envelope. Yellowed, sealed with red wax. My grandfather's handwriting on the front, for Claire, to be opened on her 7th birthday. My grandmother stood up. She said, "She is not 7. I said, "No." "She is not." My grandmother said, "Then she should not open it." I said, "Why did you tell her she was?" My grandmother did not answer. Claire looked at me. She said, "Can I open it?" I looked at the envelope. I looked at my grandmother. I looked at my mother, who was staring at both of us like we were speaking a language she did not understand. I said, "Yes." Claire broke the seal. She pulled out a single sheet of paper. She tried to read it, but the handwriting was too small. She handed it to me. I read it. The room was very quiet. My mother said, "What does it say?" I read it again, just to be sure. Then I looked at my grandmother. She had sat back down. She was gripping the arms of the chair. I said, "It says Grandpa set up a trust fund for me, $50,000. It was supposed to go to me when I turned 25. My mother said, "I do not understand." I said, "Grandma took the money when I was 19. She gave it to Melissa for law school." Melissa looked up from her phone. She said, "What?" My grandmother said, "That is not what happened." I said, "That is exactly what happened. It is right here, in his handwriting." My father said, "Why would she do that?" I looked at my grandmother. I said, "Why did you do that?" She did not answer for a long time. Then she said, very quietly, "Because Melissa needed it, and you did not." I said, "I did not need $50,000. She said, "You were working, you had a job. Melissa had law school. She had expenses." I said, "I had $41,000 in student loans." She said, "You were going to be fine." I said, "And you knew that how?" She said, "Because you are like your grandfather. You do not need anyone's help, you never have." I stood there holding the letter. My daughter was next to me. My family was watching. My grandmother said, "I knew you would be angry. That is why I did not tell you." I said, "You did not tell me because you knew it was wrong." She said, "I did what I thought was right." I said, "You stole from me, you gave my money to my sister, and you let me believe for 15 years that my family just did not think I needed help." My mother said, "I did not know about this." I looked at her. I said, "Did not you? You never wondered where Melissa's law school money came from?" My mother said, "Your grandmother said it was a gift." I said, "It was, just not hers to give." Melissa said, "I did not know." I swear I did not know. I believed her. She looked genuinely shocked, but that did not change anything. I folded the letter. I put it back in the envelope. I handed it to Claire. I said, "Hold on to this." Then I looked at my grandmother. I said, "You told Claire I lied about her age. You told her she was 7. Why?" My grandmother looked at the floor. She said, "Because I knew what was in the letter, and I knew if you read it, you would never forgive me." I said, "So you thought you would get ahead of it. Tell Claire first." "Make me look like the liar?" She said, "I did not think it through." I said, "No, you did not." My father said, "I think we all need to calm down." I looked at him. I said, "I am calm." He said, "You are clearly upset." I said, "Yes, I am upset, but I am also calm." My mother said, "Maybe we should talk about this later, after the party." I said, "No, we are talking about it now." My grandmother stood up. She said, "I am leaving." I said, "You can leave, but first I need to know. Did you ever plan to tell me?" She said, "No." I said, "Why not?" She said, "Because it would not have changed anything. The money was gone. Melissa used it for school. It was done." I said, "It would have changed how I understood my family." She said, "How?" I said, "I would have known that you thought she mattered more than I did." My grandmother's hands were shaking. She said, "That is not true." I said, "Then why did you give her my money?" She said, "Because she asked for it, and you never did." That moment, that one sentence. Because she asked for it, and you never did. I stood there holding an envelope my dead grandfather had written 14 years ago, and I understood something I had spent my entire adult life trying not to understand. They had never seen me because I had never asked them to, not because I was proud, not because I was independent, because somewhere, very early, I learned that asking meant hearing no. And hearing no from the people who were supposed to believe in me felt worse than just doing it myself. My grandmother left. She did not say goodbye to Claire. She just picked up her purse and walked out. My mother followed her to the door. She came back 5 minutes later. Her lipstick was smudged. She had been crying. She looked at me. "You could have been kinder." I did not answer. The party continued. We sang happy birthday. We ate cake. Claire opened her other presents. But the air in the room had changed. Everyone was careful. Everyone was polite. Daniel pulled me into the hallway. He kept his voice low. "What are you going to do?" "About what?" "About any of this, your grandmother, the money, the fact that your entire family just watched that happen." I looked through the doorway. My mother was cutting cake. My father was talking to my uncle. Melissa was on her phone again. Claire was playing with a toy someone had given her. "Nothing," I said. "Nothing?" "Not today." "Not yet." He studied my face. "You have a plan." "I always have a plan." That night, after everyone left, after Claire was asleep, after Daniel had gone to bed, I sat in my office and I made a list. Not a revenge list, not exactly. A list of questions I needed answered. Did my mother know about the trust fund? Did my father? Did Melissa really not know, or was she a better liar than I gave her credit for? And most importantly, what else had happened that I did not know about? I called Patricia Reyes the next morning. She was my attorney, had been for 6 years. She specialized in estate law and contract disputes. She had a voice like gravel and a memory that could hold every clause of every document she had ever read. "Patricia Reyes, it's me. I was wondering when you would call. I saw your face at the party." I had forgotten Patricia was there. She had brought a gift for Claire. She had stayed for cake. "You saw what happened with my grandmother." I saw, I also heard. And before you ask, yes, what she did was legally theft. But it was 15 years ago, and the statute of limitations in this state is 6 years, so you cannot go after her for the money. I do not want the money. Then what do you want? I thought about that. I looked out the window. It was raining, the kind of rain that makes everything gray. I want to know what else they have done. Define they? My family, my parents, my grandmother. I want to know if there is anything else. Other money, other decisions made without me, other things they thought I did not need to know. Patricia was quiet for a moment, then she spoke carefully. "That kind of investigation gets expensive, and it gets personal. Are you sure you want to go there?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I have spent 15 years building something they do not know about, and I need to know if they have spent those same 15 years doing things I do not know about. She exhaled. I will need access to estate documents, your grandfather's will, any trusts, any accounts in your name or your daughter's name, anything your parents might have had control over. I will get them. And I need you to think very carefully about what happens if I find something. What do you mean? I mean, if I find evidence that your family has been stealing from you, or hiding assets, or making financial decisions that affect you without your knowledge, you will have to decide what to do with that information. You cannot unknow it, and you cannot pretend it does not matter. I understand. Do you? Because in my experience, people think they want the truth until they actually get it. I watch the rain. Find out what happened, Patricia. I will deal with the rest. She started the investigation the following week. In the meantime, I went back to work. I went back to Sunday dinners. I smiled, I was polite, but I was also watching. 2 weeks after Claire's birthday, my mother called. She wanted to have lunch, just the two of us. We met at a place she liked. White tablecloths, expensive salads, the kind of restaurant where people went to be seen having important conversations. She ordered a glass of wine. I ordered water. She waited until the waiter left. Then she folded her hands on the table. I want to talk about what happened at the party. Okay, your grandmother feels terrible. Does she? Yes, she does. She knows she made a mistake. I cut a piece of lettuce. Which mistake? Taking my money, giving it to Melissa, or lying about it for 15 years? My mother flinched, just slightly. All of it. She was trying to help Melissa. She did not think it through. She had 15 years to think it through. She was scared you would react exactly the way you did. I set my fork down. How did I react, Mom? You were angry. You humiliated her in front of everyone. She told my 6-year-old daughter that I lied to her. She tried to make me look like the problem before I even knew there was a problem. My mother drank her wine. I am not saying she handled it well. What are you saying? I am saying that family is complicated, and sometimes people make choices that seem wrong from the outside but made sense at the time. I looked at her, really looked at her. She was wearing pearls, the same ones she wore to every nice lunch. Her hair was done, her makeup was perfect. Did you know? Know what? About the trust fund. Did you know Grandma took it? She hesitated, just for a second, but I saw it. Mom, I knew she helped Melissa with school. I did not know where the money came from. You did not ask. I assumed it was her money to give. But you knew I had student loans. You knew I was working 3 jobs. You knew Melissa got help and I did not. And you never wondered why? She looked down at her plate. I thought your grandmother was just being generous with Melissa. And not with me. You were always so independent. We thought you wanted to do it yourself. There it was again, that phrase, you never asked for help. I finished my water. I did not touch my salad. My mother reached across the table. She put her hand on mine. I am sorry you feel hurt. Not I am sorry we hurt you. Not I am sorry this happened. I am sorry you feel hurt. I pulled my hand back. I need to get back to work. She blinked. We just got here. I know, but I have a meeting. I did not have a meeting. I just could not sit there anymore. I paid for both of us. I left. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 20 minutes. I did not cry. I just sat there. Then I called Evelyn. She answered on the second ring. You sound like you need coffee. I need something stronger than coffee. Come by the office. I have bourbon in my desk. I drove to her building, the one we co-owned. She was in her office on the 3rd floor. The door was open. She poured 2 glasses. She handed me one. She did not ask what happened. She just waited. I told her everything. The trust fund, the lunch, my mother's apology that was not an apology. When I finished, Evelyn leaned back in her chair. So what are you going to do? I do not know yet. Yes, you do. You have known since the party. You are just deciding when. I drank the bourbon. It burned. I hired Patricia to investigate, to see if there is anything else. Evelyn nodded. Good. You need to know what you are dealing with. What if there is nothing else? What if it was just the trust fund? Then you decide if that is enough. Enough for what? She looked at me. Enough to stop pretending. I went home that night and I pulled out every document I had, birth certificates, tax returns, account statements. I scanned them. I sent them to Patricia. 3 days later, she called. I found something. My stomach dropped. What? When Claire was born, your parents opened a college fund in her name. $500 a month. Auto deposit from their account. I knew about that. They had told me. They had made a big deal about it at Claire's baby shower. I know about the college fund. Right, but did you know they stopped contributing after 6 months? I sat down. What? The deposits stopped when Claire was 6 months old. They told you they were still contributing? I thought back. Every birthday, every Christmas, my mother would mention it. We are still putting money away for Claire's education. We want to make sure she has opportunities. They have been saying it for years. Patricia's voice was careful. The account has $3,000 in it. If they had been contributing $500 a month for 6 years, it would have $36,000. Where did the money go? I do not know yet, but I am looking. I thanked her. I hung up. I sat there in my office. The lights were off. The house was quiet. Daniel came in. He turned on the lamp. He sat down across from me. What did she find? I told him. He was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke. You need to be careful. Of what? Of how far you are willing to go with this. What does that mean? It means every time you dig, you are going to find something that hurts, and at some point you are going to have to decide if you want to keep digging or if you want to walk away. I am not walking away. I know, but I need you to think about what happens after, when you confront them, when you tell them what you know, what happens to Claire, to us. To Sunday dinners and holidays and all the things that come with having a family. I looked at him. You think I should let it go? I think you should decide what you actually want, because if you just want them to know you are successful, you could tell them tomorrow. But if you want something else, if you want them to understand, or to apologize, or to admit they were wrong, that might not happen, and you need to be ready for that. He was right. I knew he was right, but I was not ready to decide yet. Patricia called again 2 weeks later. She had found the rest. The college fund money had been transferred to my parents' personal account, not all at once, small amounts, 200 here, 500 there, spread out over 5 years. Why would they do that? I asked. I do not know, but there is more. More, your grandfather's estate. When he died, he left everything to your grandmother, but there was a clause, a secondary beneficiary provision. If your grandmother passed away or became incapacitated, the estate was supposed to be divided equally between you and Melissa. Okay. Your grandmother transferred the house into a life estate trust 2 years ago. When she dies, the house goes directly to Melissa. You are not mentioned. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Can she do that? Technically, yes, it was her house. She could designate any beneficiary she wanted, but the original will suggested equal distribution. This is a significant deviation from your grandfather's intent. How much is the house worth? About $470,000. I did the math, half of that, $235,000. Add the trust fund, $50,000. Add the college fund contributions that had been promised but diverted, $33,000, $318,000. That was how much my family had taken from me, directly or indirectly. Through theft or through lies or through promises they never kept. I thanked Patricia. I hung up. I sat there for a long time, then I made a decision. I was not going to tell them what I knew, not yet. I was going to test them first. I needed to know if this was who they really were, or if there was any part of them, any small piece that would choose me if given the chance. The first test was simple. I called my mother 3 weeks later. I told her I needed help, just a small amount, $2,000. My car had broken down. The repair was expensive. I was short this month. None of it was true. My car was fine. I had $11 million in liquid assets, but I wanted to see what she would say. She was quiet on the phone, then she spoke carefully. $2,000. I know it is a lot, but I would pay you back within a month. I just need a little help right now. Can Daniel not help? He is covering other things. We are stretched thin. Another pause, then, let me talk to your father. She called me back 2 days later. We talked about it, and we just do not think we can do $2,000 right now. We have our own expenses. The condo fees went up. Your father's car needs new tires. I kept my voice even. I understand. Maybe you could ask Melissa, she just got a bonus. Maybe, or you could look into a personal loan. The rates are not that bad. Okay. I am sorry, sweetheart. I wish we could help. I hung up. I sat in my car. I had called her from the parking lot of my office building, the building I owned with Evelyn, the building that was worth $3.2 million. I had asked my mother for $2,000. She had said no. I wanted to be surprised. I wanted to feel something other than what I felt. But mostly I just felt tired. I called Evelyn. I told her what happened. She was quiet for a moment, then she spoke. You hoped she would surprise you. Part of me did. But she did not. No. So what is the next test? I had already planned it. 2 weeks later, I invited my family to dinner at my house. All of them. My parents, my grandmother, Melissa. I told them I had news. They came, they were curious. We ate. Daniel made roast chicken. Claire set the table. She put flowers in the center because she had seen it in a movie. After dinner, we sat in the living room. My father leaned back in his chair. So what is this big news? I smiled. I am thinking about expanding my business, taking on a partner, someone with capital. My mother perked up. That sounds exciting. It is, but it is also risky. I would need to invest some of my own money, about $50,000, to show I am serious. Melissa looked up. Do you have $50,000? Not quite. I have about 30 saved, but I could get the rest. I would just need to take out a loan. My father frowned. Taking out a loan for a business expansion is risky. What if it does not work out? That is the risk, but I think it is worth it. My mother touched my hand. Have you talked to anyone about this, an advisor? I have. They think it is a good opportunity. My grandmother was sitting in the corner. She had not said much all night. Now she spoke. Who is the partner? A woman I have been working with for a few years. She owns several properties. She wants to expand. She is looking for someone to manage operations. My grandmother's eyes narrowed. What kind of properties? Commercial real estate, office buildings, retail space. My father shook his head. That is a completely different industry from what you do now. It is related. I already do financial consulting. This would just be a different application. Melissa set her wine glass down. I do not know. It sounds like a big risk for someone in your position. What position is that? She gestured vaguely. You have Claire, you have stability. Why mess with that? I looked around the room, at their faces, at the concern that looked real but felt like something else. So you think I should not do it? My father answered first. I think you should be realistic about your limitations. My mother nodded. You have done well with your little consulting business. Maybe you should just focus on that. I waited. I gave them time. I wanted to see if anyone would say anything different. My grandmother finally spoke. If you need money, you should not be taking risks. You should be saving. I smiled. You are probably right. The conversation moved on. We talked about other things. Claire's school, Daniel's work, Melissa's latest case. Nobody asked me about the details of the opportunity. Nobody asked to see a business plan. Nobody offered to help. They had just told me not to do it. I drove Evelyn home that night. She had come to dinner. She had sat quietly through the whole conversation. In the car, she turned to me. That was the test. Yes, they failed. Yes. What did you learn? I thought about it. I watched the streetlights pass. I learned that they do not want me to fail, but they do not want me to succeed either. They want me to stay exactly where they think I am. Evelyn nodded. So what is the third test? The third test was the hardest. I waited another month. I wanted time. I wanted to be sure. Then I invited my mother to lunch, just the two of us. The same restaurant we had gone to before. This time I told her the truth, part of it. Mom, I need to tell you something, and I need you to keep it between us. She leaned forward. Her eyes were bright. She loved secrets. She loved being trusted with information. What is it? My business is doing better than I let on. How much better? A lot better. I have been keeping it quiet because I did not want people to treat me differently, but I am making good money, really good money. She blinked. How much? I lowered my voice. Last year I cleared $800,000. It was a lie. Last year I had cleared $2.3 million. But I wanted to see what she would do with a number that was big but not unbelievable. Her mouth opened. She closed it. She opened it again. $800,000? Yes. And you did not tell us? I am telling you now. She sat back. She picked up her wine. She drank half of it. Then she smiled. I knew it. I knew you were doing well. I told your father. I said she is doing better than she lets on. You did. Of course, a mother knows. I did not believe her. But I smiled anyway. The thing is, I am thinking about some investments, some opportunities, and I wanted your advice. My advice? Yes, you and Dad have been smart with money. I trust your judgment. She loved this. I could see it. She sat up straighter. She put her wine down. What kind of opportunities? Real estate, commercial properties. I have a chance to invest in a portfolio, but it is a significant amount, about $300,000. Her eyes went wide. Do you have $300,000? I could get it between savings and liquidating some assets. That is a huge risk. I know, but the returns could be substantial. She was quiet for a moment, then she leaned forward. Can I ask you something? Of course. Does Daniel know about the money? Yes, he has always known. And he is okay with you making these kinds of decisions. There it was, the assumption that I would need permission, that I would need someone to approve. We make decisions together. She nodded. Of course. I just meant 300,000 is a lot. You should be careful. I will be. We finished lunch. We talked about other things. Claire's school play, the weather, my grandmother's health. As we were leaving, my mother hugged me. She held on a little longer than usual. I am proud of you, she whispered. I hugged her back. Thank you. I went home. I waited. 3 days later, my father called. Your mother told me about your business. About how well you are doing? I had asked her to keep it between us. She had lasted 72 hours. She did. She was excited. She wanted me to know. I asked her not to tell anyone yet. I am not anyone. I am your father. I did not argue. Okay, I want to talk to you about this investment opportunity, the commercial real estate. What about it? I think you should let me take a look at it. I have experience with investments. I could help you evaluate whether it is worth the risk. That is okay, I have advisors. I am sure you do, but family should help family, and I would hate to see you make a mistake. I closed my eyes. What kind of mistake? The kind where you lose $300,000 because you trusted the wrong person. I trust my advisors. But do you really know them? Do you know their track record? Dad, I appreciate the concern, but I can handle this. He was quiet for a moment. Then his voice changed, softer, more careful. I am just saying if you have that kind of money, maybe you should think about family, about helping the people who helped you get where you are. There it was. What do you mean? Your grandmother is getting older. Her medical expenses are going up. Melissa is still recovering from her divorce. Your mother and I are managing, but things are tight. Are you asking me for money? I am saying that if you are in a position to help, family should come first. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear. My office was quiet. Outside, I could hear traffic. I will think about it. That is all I ask. He hung up. I sat there for a long time, then I called Patricia. I need you to do something. What? I need you to document every conversation I have had with my family in the last 60 days, every request, every test, every response. I need dates. I need context. I need everything. You are building a case. I am building a record. For what? For what comes next. She was quiet. Then, are you sure you want to do this? I thought about my grandfather's letter. I thought about the trust fund. I thought about the college fund they had raided. I thought about my mother telling my father about my business after I asked her not to. I thought about my father asking for money 3 days later. I thought about my daughter, about the world I was teaching her to navigate. Yes. Okay, I will start documenting. But I need to know, what is the end game here? I looked out the window. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink and purple. I am going to tell them the truth, all of it, every number, every asset, every single thing they do not know about me, and I am going to do it in a way they cannot ignore. When? Soon. I just need a few more pieces in place. I had everything I needed. 62 days of evidence, 3 failed tests, a family that had shown me exactly who they were. I made one last phone call to Evelyn. It is time. She did not ask what I meant. She already knew. What do you need from me? I need you to be there. When it happens, I need someone who actually knows me. I will be there. I hung up. I opened my laptop. I started writing. Not a speech, not an explanation, a presentation with numbers, with dates, with evidence. I was done being invisible. I want you to remember what I said at the beginning, about whether I went too far. Keep that question in your mind during everything I am about to tell you. The presentation took me 3 days to build. Not because it was complicated, because I kept second-guessing myself. I would write a slide, then delete it, add a number, then take it out. I wanted it to be perfect, not cruel, not vindictive, just true. Daniel watched me work. He did not try to stop me. He just brought me coffee and made sure Claire did her homework and kept the house running while I sat at my desk and built the thing that would change everything. On the 3rd night, he came into my office. It was late, almost midnight. He looked at the screen. You are really doing this? Yes, there is no going back after. I know. He pulled up a chair. He sat down next to me. Show me. I walked him through it, slide by slide, the numbers, the timeline, the evidence. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time, then he spoke. They are going to hate you. Probably. Your mother is going to cry. Your father is going to be furious. Melissa is going to feel betrayed. I know. And you are okay with that? I thought about that question, really thought about it. I am not doing this to hurt them. I am doing this because I am done pretending. I am done being small so they can feel big. I am done letting them believe a version of me that does not exist. He nodded. When? Thanksgiving. His eyes widened. You are going to do this at Thanksgiving? My mother is hosting. Everyone will be there. My grandmother, Melissa. My aunts and uncles. Everyone who has spent the last 34 years deciding who I am without ever asking. That is brutal. That is strategic. If I do this privately, they will deny it. They will rewrite it. They will tell everyone their version. But if I do it in front of everyone, they cannot pretend it did not happen. He stood up. He kissed the top of my head. I will be right next to you. I know. I sent the invitation 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, just a text to my mother. Daniel, Claire, and I would love to come for Thanksgiving. Can we bring anything? She texted back immediately. Just yourselves, so excited to have everyone together. I told Patricia my plan. She was quiet on the phone for a full 30 seconds. Then, you are absolutely sure about this? Yes, because once you do this, you cannot take it back. and holidays have a way of making people feel attacked even when you're just telling the truth. I am not attacking anyone. I'm just going to tell them who I actually am, with evidence. With facts, she exhaled. Do you want me there? I thought about that. No, but I want you on call in case I need you. I will have my phone on me the entire day. I told Evelyn 2 weeks before. We were in her office. She was reviewing lease renewals. I was supposed to be helping. Instead, I was staring out the window. You are distracted, she observed. I am doing it at Thanksgiving. She set down her pen. She looked at me. Good, good. You have been carrying this for too long. It is time to put it down. What if it does not go the way I think it will? How do you think it will go? I think they will be shocked. I think they will be defensive. I think they will try to make me feel guilty for succeeding without their permission. And then what? And then I will leave, and I will be done. She smiled, a small, sad smile. You will not be done. You will just be free. The week before Thanksgiving, my mother called. I am so excited for Thursday. It has been too long since we have all been together. It has. Your grandmother is coming. She is bringing her famous stuffing. I had not spoken to my grandmother since Claire's birthday party. 6 months. She had not called. I had not called. We had just stopped. That is nice. I know things have been tense, between you two, but I think Thanksgiving is a good time to let that go. Family is family. I did not respond. My mother continued. Your father is excited to see you. He has been talking about your business, about how well you are doing. Has he? He is proud of you. We both are. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. Instead, I kept my voice even. I am looking forward to Thursday. Me too, sweetheart, me too. I spent Thanksgiving morning cooking. Daniel made a pie. Claire helped me peel potatoes. We moved through the kitchen like we always did. Quietly, efficiently, Claire looked up at me. Are you nervous about today? A little. Why? Because I am going to tell Grandma and Grandpa something they do not know, and I am not sure how they will feel about it. Is it bad? No, it is just different than what they think. She thought about that. Then she went back to peeling. We arrived at my parents' house at 2. My mother opened the door before we could knock. You are here, she hugged me. She hugged Daniel. She picked up Claire and spun her around. Inside, the house smelled like turkey and wine and the candles my mother always burned on holidays. The kind that smelled like cinnamon and apples. My father was in the living room. He stood when we came in. He shook Daniel's hand. He kissed my cheek. Good to see you. You too. Melissa was already there. She was on the couch with a glass of wine. She waved. My grandmother was in the dining room. She was setting the table. She looked up when I walked in. Our eyes met. She looked away first. My Aunt Patricia, not my attorney, my actual aunt, my father's sister, was in the kitchen helping my mother. She came out when she heard us arrive. There she is, come here. She hugged me. She always hugged too tight, like she was trying to squeeze something out of you. My Uncle Jim was there too, my mother's brother. He was watching football in the den. Evelyn arrived 20 minutes later. I had invited her. My mother had been surprised. You are bringing a friend? She is family, more than some people. My mother had not known what to say to that. Evelyn walked in carrying a bottle of wine, expensive wine, the kind my parents would notice. My mother took it. She read the label. Her eyebrows went up. This is lovely, thank you, Evelyn smiled. Happy Thanksgiving. She found me in the kitchen. She squeezed my hand once. That was all, but it was enough. We sat down to eat at 3. My mother had set the table with the good china, the plates that only came out twice a year. My father sat at the head of the table, my mother at the other end, Melissa and I on one side, Daniel and Claire on the other, my grandmother next to my father. Aunt Patricia and Uncle Jim across from Evelyn. My father said grace. We passed food. We filled our plates. For 20 minutes it was normal. We talked about Claire's school, about Daniel's latest project, about the traffic on the way over. Then my father looked at me. Your mother tells me your business is doing well. Here it was. It is. That is good to hear. I know we have had our concerns over the years, but it sounds like you have found your footing. Melissa smiled. I always knew you would figure it out eventually. I set my fork down. Actually, I wanted to talk to everyone about that. My mother looked up. About what? About my business, about how well it is actually doing. My father leaned back. We are listening. I reached into my bag. I pulled out a folder. I set it on the table. I made copies for everyone. My mother frowned. Copies of what? A presentation about my career, my finances, everything you do not know. The table got very quiet. Melissa set down her wine glass. What are you talking about? I opened the folder. I handed a packet to my father, one to my mother, one to Melissa, one to my grandmother. I think it is time you knew who I actually am. My father opened his packet. He looked at the first page. His face did not change. My mother opened hers. She blinked. I do not understand. Just read. The first page was simple. A timeline, my career from age 22 to present, job titles, revenue figures, all of it. My father read it twice, then he looked up. This says you made $800,000 last year. No, that is what I told Mom I made. Keep reading. He turned the page. The second page was my actual revenue, by year, from the consulting firm. From the property partnership with Evelyn, from investments. My mother's hand went to her mouth. Melissa stared at the paper. This cannot be right. It is right, I have documentation, tax returns, bank statements, all of it. My father's voice was tight. You are saying you made $2.3 million last year. Yes, and you did not tell us. No, my grandmother had not opened her packet. She was just looking at me. Aunt Patricia leaned forward. Why are you doing this, now, at Thanksgiving? Because I am tired of pretending. I am tired of letting you all believe I am barely getting by when I have been building something significant for over a decade. My mother's eyes were wet. Why would you lie to us? I did not lie, I just did not correct your assumptions. My father stood up. He dropped the packet on the table. This is ridiculous. You bring us here on Thanksgiving and ambush us with financial statements? I did not bring you here. You invited me. I just decided to be honest for once. Melissa was still reading. She had turned to the third page, the one about the property portfolio with Evelyn. She looked up. You own 6 buildings. 7 now. With her? She pointed at Evelyn. Evelyn did not flinch. She just took a sip of wine. Yes. My father turned to Evelyn. You knew about this? Evelyn set down her glass. I did not just know about it. I partnered with her because she is exceptional at what she does, which you would know if you had ever asked. My mother stood up. Her chair scraped against the floor. I cannot believe you are doing this. Today of all days. When would have been better, Mom? When you asked me for financial advice last month so you could tell Dad and he could ask me for money? When Melissa called me crying about her divorce and I said I could not help? Melissa's head snapped up. That is not fair. Is it not? You needed $50,000. I said I did not have it. But I did. I had millions. I just wanted to see if you would figure it out on your own. That is cruel. No. What is cruel is spending your entire life making someone feel small and then asking them for help when it is convenient. My grandmother finally spoke. Her voice was quiet. So this is revenge. No, this is honesty. You are humiliating us. I am telling you the truth. If that feels like humiliation, maybe you should ask yourself why. My father's face was red. We do not have to sit here and listen to this. You are right, you do not. You can leave. But before you do, you should read page 4. My mother picked up her packet. Her hands were shaking. She turned to page 4. It was the trust fund, my grandfather's letter, the timeline of when the money was taken and where it went. My mother read it. She looked at my grandmother. You told me that was your money. My grandmother did not answer. You told me you were helping Melissa with school. You did not say it came from a trust fund that was supposed to go to her. She pointed at me. My grandmother's voice was tight. It was complicated. How is theft complicated? I did what I thought was right at the time. My father turned to my mother. You knew about this? I knew she helped Melissa. I did not know where the money came from. Melissa stood up. I did not know. I swear to God I did not know. I believed her. Her face was white. She looked like she might be sick. I know you did not. Then why are you bringing it up? Why are you making me look like I stole from you? Because you benefited from it. Whether you knew or not. You went to law school debt-free while I worked 3 jobs and graduated with $41,000 in loans. And nobody, not one person at this table, ever thought that was unfair. Aunt Patricia spoke up. This is a family matter. Maybe we should discuss this privately. No, I am done with private. I am done with secrets. You have all spent years making decisions about me, for me, without me. You decided I was not ambitious. You decided I was not smart. You decided I did not need help, and you were all wrong. Uncle Jim shifted in his seat. He had been quiet this whole time. Now he cleared his throat. I think what your aunt means is, I know what she means. She means this is uncomfortable. She means I am making a scene. She means I should be quieter, smaller, more grateful. My mother was crying now, real tears. How can you say that? We have always supported you. How? Tell me one way you supported me that I did not ask for. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. I turned to page 5. This is the college fund you opened for Claire. My mother wiped her eyes. We did that out of love. You did it for 6 months, then you stopped, but you kept telling me you were contributing. For 6 years, every birthday, every Christmas. We are still putting money away for Claire's education. My father's jaw tightened. We had expenses. Where did the money go? That is none of your business. It is when you promised it to my daughter. Evelyn spoke quietly. You used her college fund to cover your own expenses? My father turned to her. You do not get a vote in this. Maybe not, but I get to watch. And what I am seeing is a family that has taken advantage of someone for years and is now angry that she finally noticed. My mother pointed at Evelyn. You do not know what you are talking about. I know exactly what I am talking about. I have watched her build a business from nothing. I have watched her work harder than anyone I know, and I have watched her come to your Sunday dinners and smile while you pat her on the head and tell her she is doing her best. My grandmother stood up. She was shaking. I am leaving. No, sit down. She looked at me. You do not get to tell me what to do. You are right, I do not, but if you leave now, you will never hear the rest. And trust me, you want to hear the rest. She sat. I turned to page 6. This is your house, Grandma, the one Grandpa left you, the one you put in a life estate trust 2 years ago. My mother frowned. What is a life estate trust? It is a legal structure that lets her live in the house until she dies, and then it transfers directly to a named beneficiary. My grandmother's hands were flat on the table. Who is the beneficiary, Grandma? She did not answer. Tell them. Her voice was barely a whisper. Melissa. My mother's head turned. What? The house goes to Melissa when I die? Why? Because I thought she stopped, started again, because Melissa needed it more. I kept my voice level. The house is worth $470,000. Grandpa's will suggested equal distribution between me and Melissa. You changed it. Melissa was staring at the table. I did not ask for that. I know, but you were going to get it, and I was going to get nothing. My father stood up again. He paced to the window. He paced back. So what do you want? An apology? Money? What is the point of all this? I want you to see me. Actually see me. Not the version you decided I was when I was 11 years old. Not the struggling small business owner you invented so you could feel superior. I want you to see that I have built a life that is bigger and more successful than any of you imagined I could. And I did it without your help, without your support, without your belief. My mother was crying harder now. We did believe in you. No, you believed I would be fine. You believed I would survive. You believed I did not need you. Those are not the same thing as believing in me. Aunt Patricia stood. She put her hand on my mother's shoulder. I think everyone needs to calm down. No, I do not think we do. I think we need to sit in this. I think we need to feel what it feels like when someone you underestimated for 30 years shows you exactly how wrong you were. Daniel reached under the table. He squeezed my hand. Claire was watching everything. Her eyes were wide, but she was not scared, she was just watching. My father turned to me. His voice was different now, sharper. You think you are so smart, coming in here with your little presentation, your numbers, showing off. I am not showing off, I am being transparent. You are being vindictive. Maybe, but I am also being honest, which is more than I can say for anyone else at this table. My grandmother's voice cut through. What do you want from us? I looked at her, really looked at her. She was 83 years old. She looked smaller than I remembered. I want you to admit that you chose Melissa over me, every single time. I want you to say it out loud. I did not, you did. The trust fund, the college fund, the house. Every decision you made, you chose her, because you thought she was worth more, because you thought I would be fine without you. Tears were running down her face now. I thought you were strong. I am, but that does not mean I did not need you. The table was silent. Then Melissa spoke. Her voice was shaking. I did not know about any of this, the trust fund, the house. I would never have taken it if I knew. I know. Then why are you doing this to me? I am not doing this to you. I am doing this to them. I gestured to my parents, to my grandmother. You were just the excuse they used. My mother stood abruptly. Her chair fell over backward. She did not pick it up. I cannot do this. I cannot sit here and be attacked on Thanksgiving. I am not attacking you. I am telling you what happened. It feels the same. Evelyn spoke again, quiet but clear. That is because you are not used to her telling the truth. My mother turned on her. Who are you to judge? You do not know this family. You are right, I do not, but I know her. And I know what it looks like when someone spends years making themselves smaller so other people can feel big. And I know what it looks like when they finally stop. My father stepped toward the table. I think you need to leave. Evelyn did not move. I am not going anywhere. She invited me. I am staying. Claire spoke for the first time. Her voice was small. Is Grandma crying because of us? I looked at my daughter. No, baby. Grandma is crying because she is sad about some choices she made a long time ago. Is she going to be okay? I think so. My grandmother looked at Claire, then at me. You brought your daughter to this. You let her watch you tear apart her family. I let her watch me tell the truth. There is a difference. My father's voice was low, dangerous. You need to stop right now. Or what? Or you are not welcome here anymore. The room went silent. I stood up. I picked up my folder. I looked around the table. I have one more page. Do you want to see it? My mother whispered, no. I pulled it out anyway. This is the legal documentation I filed yesterday. I am establishing a trust for Claire. $750,000. For college, for whatever she needs. It is managed by Patricia Reyes, my attorney. Not you, not anyone else in this family. It is locked, protected. No one can touch it except Claire when she turns 18. My mother's face crumpled. Why are you telling us this? Because I want you to know that Claire will never wonder if her family believes in her. She will never have to ask for help and be told no. She will never have to build something in secret because she is afraid you will take it away. I looked at my grandmother. She will never have to find out 30 years later that someone stole from her because they thought someone else needed it more. My grandmother put her face in her hands. I turned to my parents. And she will never, ever have to sit at a table and hear someone say she is not ambitious enough, not smart enough, not worth investing in. My father's hands were fists. Get out. I am going. But before I do, I want you to know that I am done. With Sunday dinners, with pretending, with letting you treat me like I am less than I am done. My mother reached for me. Please do not do this. I stepped back. You did this. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30, you did this every time you chose to believe the worst of me instead of asking who I actually was. Daniel stood. He picked up Claire. Evelyn stood too. We walked to the door. My mother followed us. Please. Just stay, we can talk about this. I turned. There is nothing left to talk about. You know who I am now. What you do with that information is up to you. She grabbed my arm. You cannot just leave. I looked down at her hand. Yes, I can. She let go. We walked out. The air outside was cold, sharp. It felt good. Evelyn walked us to our car. She hugged me hard. You did it. Yeah. How do you feel? I thought about it. I looked back at the house. The lights were all on. I could see shapes moving inside. I feel lighter, she smiled. Good. We drove home in silence. Claire fell asleep in the backseat. Daniel held my hand the whole way. When we got home, my phone had 17 missed calls, 12 texts. I did not read them. I turned off my phone. I sat on the couch. Daniel made tea. We did not talk about it. We just sat there. Claire woke up around 8. She climbed into my lap. Are we still going to Grandma's for Christmas? No, baby. Okay. She went back to her room. Daniel looked at me. That is it, just okay? She is 6. She does not care about Thanksgiving dinner drama. She cares if we are okay. Are we okay? I thought about it. Yeah, I think we are. The next day, I turned my phone back on. 29 missed calls now, 46 texts. Most were from my mother, variations of please call me. We need to talk. I cannot believe you did this. 3 were from Melissa. I did not know about the trust fund. You have to believe me. I am so sorry. Please talk to me. 2 were from my grandmother, no words, just call me. None from my father. I called Patricia instead. I saw the news. News? Your mother called me. Well, she called my office. She wanted to know if what you said about the trust for Claire was real. What did you tell her? I told her it was absolutely real, filed, notarized, locked. How did she sound? Like someone who just realized they lost. I called Evelyn next. How are you holding up? I am okay. Liar, I laughed. It felt strange. Okay, I am a mess, but I am a mess who told the truth, so that is something. That is everything. A week went by, then 2. My mother called every day. I did not answer. Melissa texted every other day. I read them. I did not respond. My grandmother sent a letter. Actual mail. Handwritten. I opened it. It was 2 pages. Her handwriting was shaky. The letter said she was sorry, that she had made mistakes, that she loved me. That she hoped one day I could forgive her. It did not say she was wrong. It did not say she understood why I was hurt, just that she was sorry I was upset. I put the letter in a drawer. 3 weeks after Thanksgiving, my father called. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Hello, we need to talk. About what? About what you did. About how you humiliated your mother. About how you upset your grandmother so badly she has barely eaten since Thanksgiving. Is that all? No. I want to talk about how you lied to us for years. I did not lie. You hid who you were, that is the same thing. No, it is not. I just did not correct your assumptions. There is a difference. He was quiet. Then, your mother is devastated. Good, good, that is all you have to say. What do you want me to say, Dad, that I am sorry? I am not. I am sorry it hurt, but I am not sorry I did it. You destroyed Thanksgiving. I told the truth at Thanksgiving. If that destroyed it, maybe it was not as strong as you thought. He hung up. I sat there holding the phone. Daniel came into the room. Was that your dad? Yeah. What did he want? To tell me I ruined everything. Did you? I thought about it. Yeah, I think I did. Good. I looked at him. Good. Sometimes things need to be ruined before they can be fixed, or before you can build something better. Christmas came. We did not go to my parents' house. We stayed home, just the three of us. It was quiet, it was peaceful. Claire did not ask about my family. She just played with her presents and ate too much candy and fell asleep on the couch at 7. It was the best Christmas I had had in years. In January, Melissa showed up at my office. My assistant buzzed me. "Your sister is here." I hesitated, then, "Send her in." She came in looking smaller than I remembered, thinner. She sat down across from my desk. We looked at each other. "I did not know," she said finally. "I know. I would never have taken that money if I knew it was yours." "I believe you." "Then why did you do it? Why did you put me in that presentation?" "Because you benefited from decisions that hurt me, whether you knew it or not." She was quiet for a long time. "Then I am sorry." "For what?" "For not seeing it, for not asking, for assuming you were okay just because you did not complain." I felt something shift in my chest. "Thank you. Can I ask you something?" "Okay. Why did not you just tell us, years ago, when you started making real money? Why did not you just say, 'Hey, I am doing well'?" I thought about how to answer that. "Because the moment I told you, it would have changed how you saw me, but not in the way I wanted. You would have either been proud because I proved you wrong or resentful because I succeeded without you. Either way, it would have been about you, not me, and I wanted just once for it to be about me." She nodded slowly. "That makes sense." She stood. She walked to the door. She stopped. "For what it is worth, I think you are amazing. I always have. I just did not say it out loud because I thought you did not need to hear it." "I did. I know that now." She left. I sat there for a while, then I called Patricia. "I need to know something." "What?" "The house, the life estate trust, can it be challenged?" "Possibly, but it would be expensive and messy, and it would destroy what is left of your relationship with your grandmother." "I do not care about that." "Are you sure?" I thought about it, about my grandmother, about the fact that she had made a choice that hurt me, but also a choice she thought was right. "No, I am not sure." "Then do not do anything yet, sit with it, see how you feel in a few months." I did. In March, my grandmother had a stroke, a small one. She recovered, but it scared her. My mother called to tell me. "She is asking for you." "Is she?" "Please, just come see her. She is 83. She might not have much time left." I thought about saying no, about holding the line, but I also thought about the fact that I did not want to be the kind of person who let someone die without saying what needed to be said. I went. She was in her house, the one that would go to Melissa when she died. She was sitting in her chair by the window. She looked up when I came in. "You came? Mom said you wanted to see me." "I did." I sat down across from her. We did not speak for a while, then she started. "I made a lot of mistakes with you." "Yes. I thought I was helping. I thought Melissa needed more. I thought you were strong enough to make it on your own." "I was, but that is not the point." "What is the point?" "The point is you never asked me what I needed. You decided, for me, without me." She looked down at her hands. "I am sorry." "Are you sorry you did it, or sorry I found out?" She looked up. Her eyes were wet. "Both." At least it was honest. "The house," I started. "I know." "Why did you give it to her and not me?" "Because I thought she would need it more, after her divorce, after everything." "And what about me?" "I thought you would be fine." "I am fine, but that is not the same as being valued." She nodded. "I know that now." I stood. "I am not ready to forgive you. I do not know if I ever will be, but I wanted you to know that I heard you, and I am glad you understand." I walked to the door. She called after me. "I changed the trust." I stopped. "What?" "The life estate trust. I changed it last week. The house goes to both of you now, 50-50. I turned around. "Why?" "Because you were right about all of it." I did not know what to say, so I just nodded and left. 6 months after Thanksgiving, things settled into a new shape. My mother and I talked once a month, carefully, about surface things, the weather, Claire's school. We did not talk about Thanksgiving. We did not talk about money. My father and I did not talk at all. Melissa and I had coffee every few weeks. We were not close, but we were civil. She was rebuilding her life. I was living mine. My grandmother sent cards on holidays. I sent them back. It was not forgiveness, but it was not war either. Claire asked me once if she would see Grandma and Grandpa again. I told her the truth. "Maybe, someday, when everyone is ready." She said, "Okay," and went back to her homework. A year after Thanksgiving, Evelyn and I bought our 8th building. We celebrated with coffee, the good kind. She looked at me across the table. "Any regrets?" "About the buildings?" "About Thanksgiving?" I thought about it. "No, not even a little. I regret that it had to happen. I regret that they made choices that forced me to make a choice. But I do not regret telling them the truth." She smiled. "Good." My business kept growing. Claire kept growing. Daniel and I bought a bigger house. I was happy, not in a fairy tale way, in a real way. The kind of happy that comes from building something yourself and knowing it cannot be taken away. On Claire's 7th birthday, we had a small party, just us, just the people who actually mattered. Evelyn came. She brought a book, something about a girl who built a rocket ship. Daniel's parents came. They had always been kind. One of Claire's teachers came. Ms. Brennan, the one who told Claire she was smart even when she struggled. We ate cake. We sang. Claire blew out her candles. After everyone left, I put Claire to bed. She looked up at me. This was the best birthday. Yeah, because everyone who was here actually wanted to be here. I kissed her forehead. That is all that matters. I went downstairs. Daniel was cleaning up. I helped him. We moved around the kitchen quietly. He looked at me. You did good. With what? With all of it, the business, the boundaries, Claire. I did not do it alone. I know, but you did the hard part. I thought about that, about the presentation, about Thanksgiving. About the year of silence and slow rebuilding. Yeah, I guess I did. We finished cleaning. We sat on the couch. The house was quiet. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. I hope Claire had a nice birthday. I stared at it for a long time, then I typed back, she did, thank you. It was not much, but it was something. I do not talk to my father. I see my mother once every few months. Melissa and I are finding our way. My grandmother and I have an understanding. It is not the family I grew up with. It is not the family I thought I wanted, but it is honest. And that is more than I had before. Some people say I should have just walked away. Others say I did not go far enough. I genuinely want to know, what would you have done? I thought that was the end of it. The presentation. The confrontation at Thanksgiving. The year of rebuilding boundaries. I thought I had said everything that needed to be said. I was wrong. It was late April. Almost 18 months after Thanksgiving. Claire was 7 now. Actually 7, not the fake 7 my grandmother had tried to tell her she was. I was at my office. Evelyn and I were reviewing lease renewals. Standard Tuesday. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. This is Sarah. Ms. Chen, this is Robert Caldwell. I'm the executor of your grandmother's estate. My stomach dropped. Is she okay? She passed away this morning, peacefully, in her sleep. I sat down. The room felt smaller. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm calling because there are some documents you need to see. Can you come to my office this afternoon? What kind of documents? Your grandmother made some changes to her will in the last 6 months. Significant changes. I think you should see them in person. I went. Robert Caldwell's office was downtown. Wood paneling, leather chairs, the kind of place that charged by the minute. He was older. 60s maybe, gray hair, kind eyes. He handed me a folder. Your grandmother came to me in November. She wanted to make amendments. I opened the folder. The first document was her will, updated, dated November 14th of last year. I read it. Then I read it again. She had left everything to me, the house, her savings, her investments, everything, not split with Melissa, not held in trust, just to me. I looked up. I don't understand. She was very clear. She said she had made mistakes. She wanted to correct them. What about Melissa? She left your sister a letter and $10,000, but the bulk of the estate goes to you. I stared at the paper. How much? The house is worth approximately $495,000 now. The savings and investments total another $212,000. After taxes and estate fees, you're looking at roughly $600,000. I set the folder down. My hands were shaking. There's more, Robert continued. He pulled out another document. She also left instructions. She wanted you to read this letter, and she wanted me to contact your parents and sister, to tell them about the will, in your presence. Why? She said you would understand. He handed me an envelope. My name on the front, my grandmother's handwriting. I opened it. The letter was 3 pages, handwritten. It started, Sarah, I know I do not deserve your forgiveness. I do not expect it. But I need you to know that you were right about everything. She wrote about the trust fund, about how she had convinced herself that Melissa needed it more, about how she had spent 15 years justifying a decision she knew was wrong. She wrote about the college fund, about how my parents had asked her to help cover their condo fees, about how she had said yes without thinking about what it meant for Claire. She wrote about the house, about how she had changed the life estate trust after my visit, how she had meant to tell Melissa but never found the right time. And then she wrote, I am leaving everything to you not because I think Melissa does not deserve anything, but because I owe you 30 years of being seen, of being valued, of being chosen. I cannot give you those years back, but I can give you this. The letter ended, I love you, I always did. I just did not know how to show it in a way that mattered. I hope this helps. I hope someday you can think of me without anger. That is all I can ask, Grandma. I folded the letter. I put it back in the envelope. Robert was watching me. Are you okay? I don't know. She also left instructions for me to call your parents, to inform them of the will. She wanted them to know. She said it was important. When? Now, if you're ready. I thought about it, about my parents, about Melissa, about the fact that my grandmother had just given me everything and left them with almost nothing. Okay. Robert picked up his phone. He dialed. My mother answered on the second ring. Hello? Mrs. Chen, this is Robert Caldwell. I'm the executor of your mother's estate. I'm calling to inform you that she passed away this morning. I could hear my mother through the phone, a sharp intake of breath. What, when? Early this morning, peacefully. I need to call my husband. I need to. Mrs. Chen, I also need to inform you of the terms of her will. Your daughter Sarah is here with me. Your mother left specific instructions. Silence. What instructions? She left the bulk of her estate to Sarah, the house, her savings, her investments, all of it. More silence. Longer this time, then, that's not possible. It is, the will was updated in November, witnessed, notarized, legal. But the house was supposed to go to both of them. She changed the trust. She told me she changed it. She did. And then she changed it again, 6 months ago. Everything goes to Sarah. I could hear my mother crying. Can I speak to Sarah? Robert looked at me. I shook my head. She's not ready to speak with you right now. Please, just let me. I'm sorry, Mrs. Chen. I'll send you the documentation. You have 30 days to contest the will if you choose to do so. He hung up. Then he called my father. My father didn't cry. He just got very quiet. I want to see the will. It will be sent to you. This is wrong. My mother would not have done this. She did. I'm getting a lawyer. That is your right, but I assure you the will is ironclad. My father hung up without saying goodbye. Finally, Robert called Melissa. She answered. Hello? Ms. Chen, this is Robert Caldwell. I'm calling about your grandmother. Is she okay? I'm sorry, she passed away this morning. Melissa made a sound, small, like something had broken inside her. No, I'm very sorry for your loss. I'm calling because I need to inform you of the terms of her will. Okay. She left you a letter and $10,000. The remainder of her estate goes to your sister Sarah. Melissa was quiet for a long time. Then, all of it? Yes. The house? Yes. Everything? Yes. Can I speak to Sarah? Robert looked at me. I hesitated. Then I nodded. He handed me the phone. Melissa. Why? Her voice was shaking. Why would she do this? Because she thought I needed to be chosen. Just once. I never asked for any of this. I didn't take the trust fund on purpose. I didn't know about the college fund. I never asked her to leave me the house. I know. Then why are you letting this happen? I thought about that, about the presentation, about Thanksgiving, about the 1.5 years of careful distance. Because she's right, I needed to be chosen, and she finally chose me. So that's it, you just take everything and I get nothing? You get $10,000, and a letter. That's not the same. No, it's not. She was crying now. I thought we were getting better, I thought we were finding our way. We are, but this isn't about you and me, this is about her trying to fix what she broke. By breaking something else? I didn't have an answer for that. Melissa's voice changed. Harder. I'm going to contest it. You can try? I'm serious. So am I. The will is legal. Robert said so. You'll waste money on a lawyer and you'll lose. Maybe. But I have to try. Why? Because I can't just let you have everything. Not after everything that's already happened. I understood. Not because she was right, but because I understood the impulse. Do what you need to do, I told her. I hung up. Robert took the phone back. That went about as well as expected. Yeah, what are you going to do? About what? About the house, about the money, about your family. I stood. I picked up the folder. I'm going to accept it. Love it because she wanted me to have it, and because I'm done turning down things I've earned just to make other people comfortable. Robert smiled. Good. I went home. Daniel was in the kitchen. He looked up when I came in. How was your day? My grandmother died. He set down the dish he was holding. What? I told him everything. The will, the phone calls, the letter. When I finished, he just stood there. $600,000. Yes, and your family is going to lose their minds. Already did. He pulled me into a hug. Are you okay? I thought about it. I don't know, I'm sad and I'm angry and I'm relieved and I feel guilty for being relieved. That's normal. Is it? When someone dies, yeah, especially when they leave you something complicated. Claire came downstairs. She had been doing homework in her room. Is Grandma really gone? Yes, baby. Are you sad? Yes. Me too. She hugged me. She didn't ask about the will. She didn't ask about the money. She just hugged me, and that was enough. Melissa did contest the will. She hired a lawyer. She filed paperwork. It took 6 months. 6 months of depositions and document reviews and legal arguments. In the end, the judge ruled in my favor. The will stood. Melissa's lawyer sent me a letter. Final, formal. It said she was dropping the case. I never heard from her directly. My parents didn't speak to me for 8 months after my grandmother died. No calls, no texts, nothing. Then in December, my mother sent a card. A Christmas card. Generic, store-bought. Inside, she had written, "We miss you, and Claire, the door is always open if you want to come home." I didn't respond. In February, my father called. I let it go to voicemail. He said, "I know you're angry, I know we failed you, but you're still our daughter, and we'd like to try if you're willing." I saved the message. I didn't delete it, but I didn't call back either. I sold my grandmother's house. I didn't keep it. I didn't want to live there. I didn't want to rent it out. I just wanted it to be over. It sold for $515,000, $20,000 more than the appraisal. I put the money in Claire's trust, along with the savings and investments. Her trust now had $1.4 million in it, locked, protected, managed by Patricia. No one could touch it except Claire when she turned 18. I told Claire about it on her 8th birthday. "You have money set aside for college. And for whatever you want to do after, it's yours, no one else's." She thought about that. "How much?" "Enough that you'll never have to wonder if you can afford your dreams." "Did Grandma leave it to me?" "She left it to me, and I'm giving it to you." "Why?" "Because you should never have to ask your family for help and be told no." She nodded. "Okay." Then she went back to her birthday cake. Evelyn and I bought 3 more buildings. We were up to 11 now. The partnership was worth just over $8 million. My consulting business was still running, still growing. I had 23 employees now. I was doing well, better than well, but I was also tired. Not of the work, of the weight, of carrying around the anger and the hurt and the constant awareness that my family had failed me. I talked to a therapist about it. Her name was Dr. Lisa Park. She had an office with plants everywhere, real ones, not fake. She asked me once, "What would it take for you to let this go?" "I don't know." "Do you want to let it go?" I thought about that. "Yes, but I don't know how." "Maybe you start by deciding what you actually want, not from them, from yourself." "What do you mean?" "You've spent years proving them wrong, you've succeeded, you've built something incredible, you've protected your daughter, you've set boundaries, what's left?" "I don't know." "I think you do." I went home that night and I made a list. Not of grievances, not of things they owed me. A list of what I actually wanted. I wanted to stop thinking about them every time something good happened. I wanted to stop waiting for an apology that would never come. I wanted to stop measuring my success against their expectations. I wanted to just live, without the weight. I didn't know how to get there, but at least I knew what the destination looked like. 2 years after my grandmother died, my mother showed up at my office. My assistant buzzed me. "Your mother is here." I almost said no, almost told her to send my mother away, but something stopped me. "Send her in." My mother walked in looking older than I remembered, grayer, smaller. She sat down across from my desk. We looked at each other. "Thank you for seeing me," she began. "What do you want?" "I want to apologize." I waited. "For Thanksgiving, for the trust fund, for the college fund, for every time I made you feel like you weren't enough. For every time I chose someone else over you without even realizing I was doing it." I didn't say anything. She continued. "I know it's too late. I know you've moved on. I know you don't need me anymore, but I needed to say it, for me and for you." "Why now?" "Because I'm getting older, and I don't want to die without trying to fix what I broke." "You can't fix it." "I know, but I can acknowledge it. I can tell you that you were right, about everything." I leaned back in my chair. "Do you know why I never told you about my business?" "About the money? Because you didn't trust us." "No, because I knew that the moment I told you, you would try to take credit. You would say you always believed in me. You would rewrite history, and I couldn't stand the idea of you doing that." She flinched. "You're right. I know." "So where does that leave us?" I thought about it, about the years of distance, about the weight I was carrying, about Dr. Park's question. "I don't know yet, but I'm willing to find out." Her eyes filled with tears. "Really?" "I'm not promising anything. I'm not saying we go back to Sunday dinners and pretend none of this happened. But I'm willing to try, slowly, carefully. That's more than I deserve. Probably." She stood, she walked to the door, she stopped. "Can I ask you something?" "Okay." "Are you happy?" I thought about my business, about my partnership with Evelyn, about Claire, about Daniel, about the life I had built. "Yes, I am." "Good, that's all I wanted." She left. I sat there for a long time. Then I called Dr. Park. "I think I'm ready to let it go." "What changed?" She apologized, and I believed her. And I realized that holding onto it wasn't protecting me anymore, it was just making me tired. "So what are you going to do?" "I'm going to try to rebuild, not what we had, something new, something honest." "That's brave. Or stupid." "Sometimes they're the same thing." It took another year. But slowly, carefully, we found a rhythm. Coffee once a month with my mother. Just the two of us. We talked about small things. Claire's school, The weather, books we were reading, we didn't talk about Thanksgiving, we didn't talk about the money, we didn't talk about the past, we just talked. My father and I had lunch twice. It was stiff, formal, but it was something. Melissa and I texted occasionally. Birthdays, holidays, nothing deep, but we were civil. It wasn't forgiveness. Not exactly. It was more like acceptance. Acceptance that they had failed me. Acceptance that I had hurt them back. Acceptance that we were all just people trying our best and sometimes failing spectacularly. Claire turned 10. We had a party. I invited my mother, just my mother. She came. She brought a present. She was kind to Claire. She didn't ask for more than I was willing to give. After the party, she hugged me. Thank you for letting me be here. Thank you for showing up. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that was enough. 3 years after Thanksgiving, I was sitting in my office. It was late afternoon. The light was coming through the windows at that perfect angle that made everything look golden. Evelyn knocked on my door. You have a minute. Always. She came in. She sat down. I've been thinking. About selling the buildings. My stomach dropped. What, why? Not all of them, just a few. I'm 76 now. I want to slow down, travel, see my grandkids more. Okay. I want to offer you first right of refusal. If you want to buy me out completely, you can, or we can sell a few and split the proceeds, whatever you want. I thought about it, about the partnership, about everything we had built together. I want to buy you out, all of it, she smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. We structured the deal. I paid her $4.2 million. She kept one building. The first one, the one where we had started. I own 10 buildings now, outright, worth approximately $12 million. I was 41 years old. I had built something that no one could take away. I called my mother that night just to tell her. That's incredible, sweetheart. Yeah, I'm proud of you. I waited for the anger, for the resentment, for the voice in my head that said she didn't get to be proud now, but it didn't come. Instead, I just said, thank you, and I meant it. Claire is 12 now. She's smart. She's kind. She's strong. She knows about the trust. She knows about Thanksgiving. She knows about my grandmother and the will and everything that happened. She asked me once if I regretted it, any of it. Do you regret telling them the truth? No. Do you regret not forgiving them faster? Sometimes, but not enough to change what I did. Do you think they understand now why you were so angry? I thought about that, about my mother's apology, about my father's attempts, about Melissa's silence. Some of them do, some of them don't. But that's not my problem anymore. What is your problem? Making sure you never have to do what I did. What's that? Prove your worth to people who should have seen it all along. She hugged me. You don't have to worry about that. Good. I still run my consulting business. I still manage the properties. I still work hard. But I also take vacations now. I go to Claire's school events. I have dinner with Daniel without checking my phone. I have coffee with my mother once a month. I text my father occasionally. Melissa and I are cordial. It's not what I thought my family would look like, but it's honest. And it's mine, and that's more than I ever had before. Last week I got a letter from Melissa. It was short, just a few lines. I've been thinking about Thanksgiving, about everything that happened after. I was angry for a long time. I felt like you punished me for things I didn't do, but I've been in therapy, and I'm starting to understand. You weren't punishing me. You were protecting yourself. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. I'm sorry I made it about me. I hope we can keep trying. Love, Melissa. I read it 3 times, then I wrote back. Thank you for saying that. I'm sorry too, for hurting you, for making you feel like you had to choose sides. Let's get coffee next week. My treat, Sarah. We met on Thursday. At a place neither of us had been before. It was awkward at first. We talked about work, about the weather, about nothing. Then Melissa said, I need to tell you something. Okay. I went to Grandma's grave last month. I brought flowers, and I sat there for an hour, and I told her that I understood why she did what she did. With the will, I told her I forgave her. Did it help? A little, but I also realized something. What? I needed to tell you the same thing. I forgive you for Thanksgiving, for the will, for all of it. I felt something shift, something I had been holding for years. I forgive you too. For what? I didn't do anything to you. For existing in the space I thought I was supposed to fill, for being the favorite without asking to be, for making me feel like I had to fight for every scrap of attention. She nodded slowly. That's fair. We finished our coffee. We hugged. We went our separate ways, and for the first time in 4 years, I felt light. Not because everything was fixed, but because I had stopped carrying what wasn't mine to carry. My mother says I humiliated her in front of everyone. My father says I was cruel. Some of my extended family still won't talk to me, but others have reached out. Cousins, aunts, people who said they always knew something was wrong. People who said they wished they had spoken up. I don't need their validation, but it's nice to have it. Evelyn is traveling now. She sends postcards. She's in Italy this month. She's happy. Daniel got a promotion. Claire is thriving. Our house is full of noise and laughter and the kind of chaos that comes from actually living. I'm happy. Not in a fairy tale way, in a real way. The kind that comes with scars and boundaries and hard-won peace. I don't know if I did the right thing. At Thanksgiving, with the will, with any of it. But I know I did what I needed to do, and that has to be enough. Some people say I should have just walked away. Quietly, without the confrontation. Others say I didn't go far enough. That I should have cut them off completely and never looked back. I genuinely want to know, what would you have done?